G'day Gear Junkies, Jason here. I recently saw an ad for a Vox AC4 which was for sale nearby at a very reasonable price, and being a bit of a gear junkie, well, I couldn't resist. Now, I've wanted a Vox amplifier for a while. When I bought my Fender Deluxe about 2.5 years ago, I was tossing up between that and a Vox AC15, but I just felt the Fender was a bit more of an all-rounder than the Vox, so I went with the Fender. But I've always wanted that sort of Vox chiming, slightly broken up sound that just, yeah, it's the sound of the British invasion, basically. And so many of my favorite artists and bands have used them over the years, such as Andy Summers from The Police, and Brian May, and the list goes on. The AC4 has been in and out of production since the early 60s, so it's not exactly a new design. But the question is, can this baby-sized boomer reproduce the classic Vox tones of the AC30 and the AC15 at lower volumes? The current incarnation of the Vox AC4 C1 is essentially voiced like the top boost channel or brilliant channel on the AC30/AC15. It has simple controls: gain, bass, treble, and volume. It uses two 12AX7 preamp tubes with a single EL84 power amp tube that produces 4 watts of valve power, running into a 12-inch Celestion VX12 custom speaker. The amp is lightweight and styled in that classic 60s Vox era look. Vox amplifiers are completely different to all of the other major amplifier brands. The amps have very little bottom end, and they have, or should have, that classic Vox top end chime. Now, the chime aspect to the amplifier is usually what people mostly point out, and I think that the AC4 definitely pulls that sound off. The quality of the speaker, I mean, it's a budget valve amplifier, so it's not got the best speaker. It's not like an Alnico Blue or even a Celestion Greenback, but it does pull off that sound, I think. One of the things that lets it down a little bit, I think, is that it doesn't have the tone cut control that the AC15 and the AC30 have. And what that does is it helps you to wind back some of that chime, that extra top end chime, which can get a little bit brittle depending on the type of guitar you're playing. love the Vox clean tone, but I really, really like it when it starts to break up. And these amps break up really, really easily because they don't use a thing called negative feedback, which increases headroom. So by having no negative feedback, they break up very, very easily with your picking dynamics. So if you dig in a bit with a bit of the gain wind in, you will get a slightly dirtier sound, which sounds fantastic. I know some of you are probably thinking right now, that's all well and good, Jason, but how does it sound with pedals? Well, I've got 3 different pedals here that I'm going to put with the amplifier. First up is the Dynacomp by MXR. Now, this is quite a harsh compressor, and this is my favorite pedal to use with this amp. It really helps to keep some of that high end in check. It sounds, I love that sort of compressed Vox sound, particularly with a Telecaster. I love that tone. And this compressor through the, with a bit of overdrive from the amplifier, to me just sounds great. For modulation, I'm going to be using this, which is the Past Effects Chorus Ensemble MN3007 Mini. This is the one that I'm giving away, so if you want to know how to win this particular pedal, check out my previous video and you can find the details to win this one. But I love the sound of the CE1 style choruses using a Vox. It gives me Police vibes, really. When I put pictures of the AC4 up on the Middle Age Gear Junkie Facebook page, a couple of people recommended that I try using a tube screamer with it. So I'm going to use the TS808 for some extra drive. So what do I think of the Vox AC4? Well, I've had it for about 6 weeks now. I've done some recording with it and I really enjoy it, particularly with my Telecaster and the Sheridan. With the Sheridan, because it's a fairly dull sounding guitar, having that just extra bit of presence and top end really makes that guitar stand out more. With my Stratocaster, I find that it's just a bit too spiky, even on the neck pickup. So I really only mainly use it for those 2 guitars. When paired with my Fender Deluxe, the two of them together produced the best clean sound I've ever produced. So when I get my Fender Deluxe back from the repairer, I might show you how I did that. Some of the drawbacks from this amplifier. Okay, so 4 watts is not a whole lot. It would be perfect for jam sessions with mates. It would be perfect for small gigs. You could definitely mic it up and put it through the PA. But if you have a really loud drummer, you probably won't be heard very well. So I would treat this amplifier more as a studio tool like I'm using, or as a rehearsal tool, but probably not. I probably wouldn't advise you taking this out to gigs. Another problem the amplifier has is it doesn't have reverb. Now, part of the appeal of this amp is to crank up the gain a bit and get it to break up. Now, you can't really put a delay pedal or a reverb pedal in front of an amp that's already breaking up and distorting. It doesn't usually sound very good. It's a very, very niche sort of sound. And the fact that it doesn't have an effects loop means you can't put it through the effects loop to come out behind the drive. So it really limits it in that capacity. So, I mean, unless you're using the amp clean, you can't really use delay and reverb with it, which is a bit of a shame. All up, I really like it for what it is. You know, for the recordings that I've used it on, I think it sounds really, really good. I think it produces that really classic Vox sound, that unmistakable Vox sound. And for the price, you can't really argue. So I'm definitely going to be keeping this for a while at least. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and remember to join the Middle Age Gear Junkie Facebook page, which I have a link in the description. Remember to check out my other videos in my other playlists that you might find interesting. Other than that, my name is Jason, and I hope you have a wonderful day.